FNCS Grand Finals was this weekend, and the winner of this event will win $150,000, life-changing money. Let's look at how EU played out and the storylines that developed in this FNCS. Going into Game 1, there were many favorites like Benji and Savage going Tilted, and all the teams that were going Command Cavern, to Queasy and Hen, our previous FNCS champions, as well as many teams who are just trying to help out their families with a little extra cash in the rough times that many parts of Eastern Europe is facing at this time. So let's get right into our first game. Game 1 starts and Queasy and Hen die early, falling in 47th. Going into the mid-game, the largest death we see comes from Mustache and Malabuka, who go down early on. Going into the endgame, we see Tayson and Chapix fight Vanyak and Karma for height on first moving. Vanyak and Chapix both die in this fight, leaving height as a solo, but let's check in on what the rest of the lobby is doing. Benji and Savage are finding kills and tarping the low ground, while many teams are hitting launch pads and flying through the sky. Flixie and Kidu sprint into Hookah and Zestin's tarps and pick up both kills on the mid ground. Going back up to height, we see Thomas and Tripperin look for a play onto height. Thomas and Tripperin take height by spraying from the front side and establish themselves on height. Meanwhile, teams like Flois and Mappy are fragging out the low ground, and Veno is solo clutching out of his mind. Veno works his way through the endgame, finding kills and clutching placement before dying to Flixie while coming out of the zone. Eventually, the game settles down and we see Flixie and Kidu versus Thomas and Tripperin in a 2v2. And let's see how it played out.
In the tank, they have to rely on those shots. Final pyramids drop down. It's all up to the fight in the sand. Tripperin beam down. Thomas in trouble. They're holding on for as long as possible. One striker pump is going to start things off. Thomas takes down Flixie. Tripperin drops will fall too fast. Thomas
and Tripperin won this 2v2, but how do the leaderboards look after game 1? Well, Flixie and Kidu are in first because of their incredible 8 eliminations. Kefi and Melody are in second, and Thomas and Tripperin, even with their win, are only in third. Game 2 starts and our leaders Flixie and Kidu die off spawn against Zandy and Joe. Benji, Fishy, and Mr. Savage also die off spawn, and our Game 1 winners Thomas and Tripperin die in the mid game before they can get any points. The leaderboards will shake up massively from this game. Going into the end game, Aqua and Veno take height on first moving and establish themselves in a good position to spray down on the lobby, but this game was truly dominated by one team, Vanyak and Karma. Vanyak kills Trulex early in the first moving. Then Karma dies in the back of the zone on the second moving. Vanyak then kills Fury and Andretta as well as Flodax and Vico. Going back to height, we see that Malabuka has actually retaken height off of Aqua and Veno by playing the zone and picking up Veno before Aqua fell in the chaos of the lobby. The game eventually falls down to a 1v1 between Vanyak and Malabuka.
Malabuka now below him, he sees him, and in this instance a 1v1 Vanyak versus Malabuka. He's done so well up to this point, 11 eliminations. Can he take out the final player though?
Has to keep the chain going, has got every single almost elimination in what looks to be a solo FNCS. Look at him, Malabuka, both now up towards max HP. No bills for Vanya, though, has to find just the shot. It's Malabuka who has the next piece of control, the next voice up top, but Vanya has the prediction, knows what side is the best, and finds Malabuka.
After game 2, our leaderboards has Vanyak and Karma in first, with Aqua and Veno way behind in second, and a team that has been under the radar so far, Vico and Jackson, in third. Game 3 starts and Flixie and Kidu die off spawn, and so does Vanyak and Karma, as well as Vico and Jackson. This leaves only Veno and Aqua from our top 3 available to get points in this game, and well, to say the least, they did. Aqua and Veno tarp first moving on a high elevation and look at height and notice that it is free. This lack of height is a really common thing that happens in most games of Fortnite, and most players don't even realize it, but height can be easily taken on first moving if you just pay a little bit more attention like Aqua and Veno did here. Anyways, Aqua and Veno establish themselves on height, and down in the mid ground we see teams like Seti and Cami find kill after kill after kill on the mid ground. We also see teams like Mustache and Malabuka play very aggressive, finding many kills themselves on the mid ground. This game eventually becomes a 2v2 with Mustache and Malabuka on the low ground and Aqua and Veno on the high ground, and Aqua and Veno easily clean this game out with a 9 elimination victory royale. After this game, Mustache and Malabuka jump all the way into first, with Veno and Aqua only 3 points behind. In third, we have Vanyak and Karma, who died off spawn in the last game and sees a huge margin between themselves in second. No big teams die early in this game, and everyone is looking to make a big push towards the top of the leaderboards. Hen and Queasy start the endgame on the height on the first moving, but Aqua and Veno decide that height is theirs again in this game and reclaim it at the end of first moving. Down on the mid ground, we see Nebs and Kinzel find kills onto Girls and Shizo, and Thomas finds many kills as a solo in this endgame. Going into the final fight of this game, we have Aqua and Veno on height, Thomas in the mid ground, and Nebs and Kinzel on the low ground. Thomas is very quickly picked up, and Aqua and Veno close out game 4 with a 10 elimination victory royale. After game 4, Veno and Aqua take the first place spot on the leaderboards, while Mustache and Malabuka are a full 35 points behind them in second, while Tayson and Chapix are another 32 points behind Mustache in third. Game 5 starts, and the only team high on the leaderboard to go down early is Thomas and Tripperin, who die in the mid game. Going into the end game, Queasy and Hen again have height at the start of first moving, but see a little bit more success from it, holding it till second moving, where Tayson and Chapix take height at the start of second moving. Aqua and Veno are padding through the moving zones, and Aqua dies on second moving, and Veno is forced to solo clutch. Meanwhile, Cammy is finding kill after kill after kill on the mid ground, and Seti and Cammy are setting themselves up for a great endgame. Veno continues to solo clutch, picking up kill after kill before dying to Ju on the final moving zone. The game comes down to a 2v1v1 with Tayson and Chapix on height, and with that team on height, there can only be one result.
He's bolstered down, Reason in the back, he gets found out. Gonna be there with the harpoon, gonna be there all the way towards the end is Ju in second place, but it's gonna be Titans he has to take down on height.
Tayson, Chapix, this is their moment. A redemption arc for them. Can they close it out though? Ju needs to try and spoil the party, and maybe he's doing just that, but no, they will close it out. Chapix and Tayson.
Going into game 6, Veno and Aqua establish the lead further, while their gap between Mustache and Malibuca and Tayson and Chapix closes from Tayson's win in game 5. Seti and Cammy also push themselves in the leaderboard with their great endgame in game 5. Game 6 starts, and Mustache and Malibuca die early, getting only a few points in this game. In this endgame, Noah Riley and Vidil, a team that has been quiet all day, decides to take height late in the first moving zone, and they establish themselves on a strong height. Down in the mid ground, we have teams like Rifle and Marian hold down the mid and low ground, as well as teams like Refsguard and Clown who clear out teams out like Benji and Savage. This game quickly becomes a 2v2 to end the day between Noah and Vidil and Rifle and Marian, and Noah and Vidil come out on top. As day 1 finishes, Veno and Aqua have the lead, but this gap is closing in on them as Tayson and Chapix are only 17 points behind them in second. We also see Mustache and Malibuca, as well as Joe and Ziandi and Seti and Cammy, all in great positions to try to take the top spot on the leaderboard away from Veno and Aqua, and all we can do is go on to day 2. Day 2 starts, and Malibuca and Mustache, as well as Joe and Ziandi, die in the mid game and get few points. Going into the end game, Tayson and Chapix find a kill onto Belusi, and Tayson finds a kill onto Rabid soon after. Meanwhile, Vico and Jackson are holding onto height on first moving before Aqua and Veno launch pad onto the height at the start of second moving. Veno and Aqua get height for the 4th time in 7 games. Down on the mid ground, Thomas and Tripperin are fragging out of their minds, and so is Rifty and Flodax. Seti and Cammy are also surviving well in this endgame before dying to Tripperin at the start of final moving. The game eventually turns into a 2v1 where Aqua and Veno easily win this game, getting their 3rd win out of 7 games. After this game, Aqua and Veno bolster their lead, but teams like Seti and Cammy and Thomas and Tripperin jumped up massively from this game, while Tayson and Chapix remained in second place. In game 8, all of our major contenders make it into the moving zones except for Veno and Aqua, who go down on 50-50 and open up the potential to be overtaken in the first place spot. Hen finds a kill onto Pena, and Cammy and Seti find kills onto Benji and Hookah. On height, we have Nebs and Kinsel, and as we get to the end of first moving, many teams in this game use the natural rift to put themselves to the front side of the second moving zone, and this could have been a huge problem for Nebs and Kinsel, but thankfully no one decided to land on their height. On low ground, Seti and Cammy jumped onto Deceptos and Resin, and Cammy dies, but Seti kills both players in this engagement. Meanwhile, Nebs and Kinsel have problems on their height as Joe and Ziandi take it from them, padding on their height. Going back down to the low ground, Hen and Seti end up taking an aim duel that Hen barely wins. Hen is now in a 2v1 versus Joe and Ziandi on height, and this game was simply unwinnable for Hen, who had less than 50 HP. After game 8, Veno and Aqua are in first, but Tayson and Chapix are able to close the gap onto them down to only 1 point. This tournament could go really to anyone in the top 5 at this point. Game 9 starts, and disaster strikes for Veno and Aqua, who die off spawn at Command Cavern. Luckily for Veno and Aqua though, Tayson and Chapix also die early, picking up only a few points in the mid game, but this allows teams like Seti and Cammy and Thomas and Tripperin to catch back up to the top 2. Going back into the end game, Thomas and Tripperin both find kills, and Seti and Cammy make a safe rotate up the river. Up on height, we have Queasy and Hen, who have been holding this height since the 50-50 zone. Down on the mid ground, Snazy and Podesai pick up a huge kill onto Seti, and Cammy dies shortly after to Belusi. Tripperin dies to Pink on second moving, but Thomas is able to pick up the kills onto both Pink and Anas before dying in the 3rd moving zone to Queasy on height. This game eventually came down to a 2v2 where Hen and Queasy faced Snazy and Podesai, and this is how it played out.
No way home. Snazy now, the last person left. Can he stop the tyrants on height, the people who want to climb back? Hen and Queasy will take the game.
After game 9, Tayson and Chapix take the lead in this tournament, and Seti and Cammy get in striking distance to take first in any of the final 3 games. Game 10 starts, and every big team makes it into the endgame. Going into the endgame, Tayson and Chapix die early, looking for a pad on the first moving. Seti and Cammy sprint through the moving zones, and Aqua and Veno take height at the start of second moving. Floki and Clement are clearing the low ground, finding kill after kill, and they eventually go and win the final 2v2 against Aqua and Veno and win the game. From game 10, Aqua and Veno re-establish their lead, and Seti and Cammy push themselves closer to Tayson and Chapix, only being 6 points back now. Going into game 11, there are 4 teams with a shot of winning this. These teams are Veno and Aqua, Tayson and Chapix, Seti and Cammy, as well as Mustache and Malabuka. Game 11 starts and all the major teams make it off spawn, but Seti and Cammy die early in the mid game. Going into endgame, Hen and Queasy hold height on first moving, while Mustache and Malabuka die early on first moving, getting sprayed by Aqua. On second moving, Tayson and Chapix attempt to pressure Hen and Queasy on height, but ultimately fail. Aqua and Veno both survive the first moving, but die soon after on second moving. This game was dominated on the low ground though by Snazy and Podesai, who pick up kill after kill, and ended up in a 2v2 versus Hen and Queasy on height, and Hen and Queasy were able to quickly close out this game 11. Going into game 12, our final game, there are still only 4 teams with any chance to win this FNCS, but Seti and Cammy would need a miracle, and Mustache and Malabuka would need to play one of their best games of their careers to pull off this win. So this final game is really a 2-horse race between Veno and Aqua and Tayson and Chapix. Game 12 starts and Mustache and Malabuka go down off spawn, ending their FNCS early and taking out any chance of them winning. This just leaves us with Seti and Cammy, Tayson and Chapix, and Aqua and Veno in contention to win. Going into 50-50, Seti and Cammy find themselves below the Storm Surge, and as they try to recycle a pad into 50-50, they die. This leaves us with just 2 teams remaining, Aqua and Veno and Tayson and Chapix. Aqua and Veno pad first moving, and so do Tayson and Chapix. Aqua dies on the second moving to Ju, and Veno dies to Chapix right after. Unfortunately for Tayson and Chapix, Vico immediately picked them up, and they were not able to secure enough points to win the FNCS, and the FNCS title went to
the winners. No surprise, Veno and Aqua.
Aqua and Veno won $150,000 from this tournament, and Aqua won his second FNCS this season. This was one of my favorite FNCSs to watch, and I'm excited to see more in-person broadcasts, and who knows, maybe we'll even see an FNCS Grand Finals in person. With all that being said, I want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Peace.